Hey guys, what's up? It's Charlie here, and today we're going to be looking at 10 supervillains in real life. As kids, we likely all aspired to be superheroes like Superman and Iron Man one day. But here are 10 people who must have aspired to be supervillains. Supervillains may sound like something fictional, but these guys prove this to be wrong. Get ready to be blown away by these real-life supervillains. Before we get into it, be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications, and comment done for a shout out at the end of our next video. Coming in at number 10, we have Lawrence Patrick Sullivan. In 2017, this 29-year-old man was arrested in Miami. He was arrested for pointing a loaded firearm at drivers, but that's not what made him newsworthy. It was actually his mugshot that gained him his 15 minutes of viral fame. The internet couldn't believe it when the Miami-Dade County Police released this mugshot. His entire face is covered with tattoos, from facial scars, permanent black eyes, a cross, and even a tear. A tear tattoo of course means that you've taken someone's life. He also wore very eccentric clothing and had green hair. That and his sinister facial expression prompted many to nickname him the real-life Joker from Batman. He told police he didn't have a permit for his gun as it was too expensive. Lawrence lives with his mom and he claims he's a full-time tattoo model. Okay, he may look like a supervillain, but unlike some of the other people on this list, he doesn't exactly act like a supervillain. However, it would be terrifying to run into this guy in a dark alleyway. Unless you're Batman, of course. Next up, we have Roche. In 2015 in Cincinnati, a vigilante superhero named Shadowhair appeared. He wore a black cape and patrolled the streets, stopping crimes and giving out meals to the homeless. He's a real-life superhero, but with every real-life superhero comes a real-life supervillain. Since he was getting a lot of press coverage, one man was opposed to people taking the law into their own hands. So Roche, or Ruthless Organization Against Citizen Heroes, was formed. It was founded by an evil genius named the Pontinate. He took a $10 bounty out on Shadowhair's identity on eBay. The Pontinate said a radiation accident as a child caused him to be super strong, super intelligent, and invulnerable to anything. That's right, this guy even has an origin story. Roche wants to stop vigilante citizens and bring evil to the world according to them. The Pontinate says he spends his time looking for new recruits for Roche in his private lair. So, are these guys wacky or real supervillains? Coming up next is Vladimir Kozak. We've all seen supervillains commit bank heists. Just look at the Joker in Batman, for example. Well, this was no ordinary supervillain bank robbery with guns and masks. This man robbed a bank simply using his mind. It happened in 2005 at a bank in Moldova, the poorest country in Europe. A man named Vladimir Kozak went up to a bank teller and hypnotized them. Once they were in a hypnotic state, he convinced them to hand him tons of cold hard cash. The 49-year-old supervillain is believed to have stolen hundreds of thousands of dollars like this. The bank employees say they were unable to resist being hypnotized and had to hand over the cash to Vladimir. Also, can we talk about this guy's supervillain name? Vladimir. Bank workers say he hypnotized them using an eye contact method. This was his biggest haul as he stole $40,000 from one bank. Other times he'd stolen anywhere from $2,000 to $12,000. Moldova may be the poorest country in Europe, and now I see why. This real-life supervillain is stealing everyone's money. Next up is War Machine. This man is either a supervillain or a super thug. Jonathan Paul Copenhaver was an MMA fighter better known as War Machine. However, he hit headlines in 2014 for injuring his ex-girlfriend Christy Mack very badly. And he also said he was going to do more terrible things to her. This was very shocking as he has a massive physique and a name like War Machine. His crimes were terrible and it was suspected he would flee. So when reports of a warrant for his arrest came out, he did what any supervillain would do and made a great escape. War Machine was nowhere to be found as he'd used his MMA money to make a great escape. However, law enforcement called on Dog the Bounty Hunter, who was able to track down War Machine. He caught him and he was arrested a week later. War Machine then tried taking his own life in jail, but he was stabilized. Many speculate this is because he knew he was going away for a very long time for his crimes. And in court he looked like a real supervillain with his serious glare and giant MMA body. Next up is the Joker. We've already seen Lawrence Patrick Sullivan, who was nicknamed and looked like the Joker from Batman. But he isn't the only real-life Joker to appear in a police mugshot in 2017. Earlier than Lawrence's arrest in 2017, a 31-year-old man named Jeremy Putnam was arrested in Virginia. He was wearing a cape, had colored his hair green, and was wearing the Joker makeup. So, was he trying to watch the world burn? Why was this guy arrested? Well, no, this man was unfortunately a victim of one of those insane American laws. Believe it or not, it's actually illegal in Virginia to wear a mask in public. The mask wasn't even a mask, but makeup for a Joker cosplay. He was arrested and had his bail set at $2,000 and was told he could face up to 6 years in jail. What's crazy is he was also carrying a sword, which is why the police were called on him in the first place. But carrying a sword isn't illegal in Virginia. Jeremy says he's not some kind of lunatic, but is simply a fan of Batman. No matter what your opinion is on this guy, it's safe to say he's got one of the most awesome mugshots ever taken. But who's the scarier Joker? Is it Jeremy or Lawrence Patrick Sullivan? Next up is James McCormick. This super evil man took advantage of poor people's lives in order to make a whole lot of money. In 2013, he was convicted of selling fake bomb detectors. He made over $70 million worth of sales to developing but dangerous countries like Iraq. The detectors were simply a novelty golf ball finder with a few adjustments made to it. This of course made it very dangerous for millions of people, as the bomb detectors never showed any bombs. This meant people wouldn't know if they were there or if they weren't. There's no figure as to how many lives James has cost, but it's expected to be in the hundreds or maybe even the thousands. The devices were also used in other countries including Georgia, Romania, Niger, Thailand and Saudi Arabia. Walking into court, James looked like a supervillain with the evil moustache and slick back hair. It's safe to say this guy is a hybrid of a conman and a supervillain. And he even operated with weaponry, kind of like an evil Iron Man. Coming up next is Carlos Rodriguez. Ever noticed one thing that so many supervillains have in common? That is a physical defect. Whether it be Bane's permanent mask in Batman or the Joker's terrible scars. Well, even top Hollywood movie makeup artists couldn't remake the way Carlos Rodriguez looks. The whole world was shocked when this man's mugshot was released. This is because he appeared to have a massive crater in his head. Many thought this was fake and photoshopped, but no, Carlos's mugshot and head are 100% real. He got the injuries after he was drinking and then drove. He then collided with another car and flew out of the windscreen. But why was he arrested and had this mugshot taken? Well, he was allegedly trying to pick up a woman of the night. This guy says he doesn't drink and drive anymore, but it looks like he hasn't kicked all of his bad habits. Next up is Rodrigo Duterte. It's surprising that this guy is on a list of real-life supervillains. That is because he is the president of the Philippines. He carries firearms, rides motorcycles everywhere, and curses in lots of meetings. Some call him a Wild West sheriff, and others a supervillain. He's a member of the DDS, which would remove people who were deemed not good for the country. This included homeless people and teen hoodlums. He's often seen with a machine gun in photographs and removes people from high-up government positions just like that. He began as a city mayor, but his methods have allowed him to work his way up to be the president of the country. People complain about Trump in America, but hey, at least he's not carrying guns around the Oval Office. Next up, we have El Chapo. If you don't know who El Chapo is, you must be living under a rock. We all know Pablo Escobar, who was a cartel kingpin for years and amassed billions of dollars in wealth. Well, El Chapo has been called the modern version of Pablo Escobar. At his peak, he had a net worth of over $1 billion, making him the 10th richest man in Mexico. He controlled the Sinaloa cartel and took many, many lives. But the thing that makes him a real supervillain is how many times he beat the law. He was arrested in 2001 and sentenced to jail in Mexico for importing illegal goods and money laundering. He was supposed to face life in prison, but he ended up paying guards $2.5 million to allow one cage to be left unlocked. He then made a great escape in a laundry cart. He was later arrested again in 2015. However, a shocking video of him escaping again soon surfaced. He jumped down a hole his friends made and then rode down the giant tunnel in a motorcycle. He's since been arrested again and has been sent to a New York prison he hasn't escaped from yet. He may be behind bars right now, but has avoided the law so many times and is probably a real-life supervillain. Next up is Gerald Blankcard. This Canadian man was visiting the Schulan-Schubry Palace in Austria a few years back. He was visiting, but he was not a tourist. He was actually a jewel heister and a supervillain. He saw a diamond hairpin called the Cohort Diamond Pearl. The hairpin was worth nearly $2 million and caught his eye. While nobody was looking, he unlocked a window and loosened the screws with his keys. He then returned at night and parachuted onto the roof. He then climbed in through the window he loosened earlier. He slipped past all the motion sensors until he got to the hairpin. Then he stole the hairpin and replaced it with one from the gift shop. After that, he made his great escape out of the same window. The next day, he returned to the scene of the crime to laugh at the tourists squawking at the replica. He was caught in 2007 and is now behind bars. Check out the poll in the top right corner and you can vote for the scariest real supervillain. I think it's El Chapo because he is one of the most notorious criminals out there. This video shout out goes to Tom. Subscribe and turn on notifications and comment down for a shout out at the end of our next video. But as always, thanks for watching. Check out some more videos on screen right now. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and if you haven't already, what are you waiting for? Subscribe to Top 10s.